Hey, F1 fans, brace for a seismic shock. Ferrari's world is crumbling, and the grid might never be the same. Our exclusive source drops a bombshell. Charles Leclerc's team is in secret talks with rival squads plotting a 2026 exit if Ferrari flops again. The source nails it. You're not in F1 to love, but to win. The data tells a wild story of Ferrari's meltdown and a driver market ready to explode. Stick around for the jaw-dropping details. Ferrari's 2025 season is an unmitigated disaster, and the evidence is undeniable. Let's dive into 8 escalating issues from the source that expose the Scuderia's collapse. First, the SF25 is a catastrophe. The source calls it the worst car in the ground effect era, a risky design that backfired spectacularly. Unlike 2022's F175, which won in Bahrain and Australia, or 2023's SF23, a qualifying star with poles in Singapore, the SF25 has no championship hope, per the source. Second, Ferrari's bureaucracy is a nightmare. The source describes a system where you have to ask this guy, who asks that guy. Unlike Aston Martin's direct approach under Lawrence Stroll, who says, "Tell me who it is, I'll go and pay him the money." This red tape has crushed Leclerc, who's been rowing like a madman for 7 seasons without a title, per the source. Third, specific races expose Ferrari's decline. In 2022's Bahrain, Leclerc won. But in Saudi Arabia, the source notes Verstappen's heavier Red Bull still triumphed due to better strategy. The source mentions Technical Directive TD38 on flexi floors, pushed by Mercedes, which hurt Ferrari mid-2022, though Red Bull's superior suspension and weight cuts would have won anyway. In Australia 2022, Verstappen's DNF handed Leclerc a win, but Red Bull's pace dominated by mid-season, per the source. Fourth, 2025's Baku race was a low point. The source says Leclerc couldn't pass Liam Lawson, exposing the SF25's dire pace. This echoes 2024's failures, Monaco's botched pit stop, Canada's qualifying disaster, and Hungary's strategy errors, where the SF24 lost its constructor's title shot, per the source. Fifth, Fred Vasseur's under fire. The source reports Canadian Grand Prix rumors of his sacking, but he secured a longer-term deal with more control. Yet, the source warns, if the car doesn't deliver next year, I wouldn't expect him to stay in that job for too much longer. This uncertainty shakes the team's foundation. Sixth, Leclerc's confidence is shattered. The source says his faith has diminished substantially after 2024's near miss and 2025's collapse. With a handful of wins and multiple poles but no championship, his loyalty is fading, per the source. Seventh, Ferrari's championship drought since 2008 looms large. The source emphasizes, every year is important, but 2025's SF25 is the worst yet. The F175's 2022 promise, SF23's 2023 Singapore win, and SF24's 2024 potential all fell short due to strategy and development missteps. Eighth, the source highlights Leclerc's pole count as a bittersweet stat. Despite numerous poles, he's not come particularly close to winning a championship, fueling frustration. The SF24's 2024 near miss, closer than any ground effect era car, makes 2025's failure sting even more. You might think Ferrari's got a lifeline. The source says Vasseur's new deal eliminates the horizontal command line, giving him control over 2026's chassis and suspension. Hamilton backed Vasseur's stay, per the source, suggesting unity. Sounds like a fix, right? But the data tells a different story. The source clarifies bureaucracy hasn't vanished. It's just trimmed. Ferrari's history is brutal. 2022's F175 faded after TD38 and Red Bull's upgrades, per the source. In 2023, the SF23 won Singapore with Sainz but struggled with race pace against Red Bull's RB19, often due to inconsistent upgrades, per the source. In 2024, the SF24 nearly won the constructor's title, but Monaco's pit stop blunder, Canada's qualifying errors, and Hungary's strategic misfires cost them, per the source. The SF25's 2025 collapse is the worst yet, and the source questions Vasseur's ability to break this cycle. Aston Martin's contrast is stark. Their simulator may not correlate with reality, per the source, but Stroll's direct approach, unlike Ferrari's red tape, gets results. The source also notes 2026's critical stakes. A flop could lose Leclerc and Hamilton. The real question is, can Ferrari escape their own trap? Here's the game changer, straight from the source. Leclerc's management, led by Nicolas Todt, has held secret meetings with McLaren, Mercedes, and Aston Martin to secure a 2026 exit. The source details a Sunday morning meeting in Monza, before the race, with McLaren's Andrea Seidel and Alexandra Luna Bravi, who joined from Sauber earlier in 2025. Talks also happened in Capri during the summer, with Aston's Lawrence Stroll and Mercedes's Toto Wolff, who also met Verstappen, per the source. These meetings, it's about short-term agreements and driver contract openings, show Todt's strategic foresight. The source quotes an insider, "You're not in F1 to love, but to win." After 7 seasons, A handful of wins, multiple poles, and no championship, Leclerc's patience is gone. The source says his confidence has diminished substantially since 2024's Constructors' near miss and 2025's SF25 disaster. The source notes Leclerc's public love for Ferrari, but both things can be true. He wants to win with Ferrari but is ready to leave. These talks, Monza's pre-race urgency, Capri's high-stakes summer setting, are a calculated move to secure Leclerc's future, signaling the end of his Ferrari dream may be near. If Ferrari flops in 2026, the fallout could reshape F1. The source predicts a driver market frenzy. If the car, or Shell's fuel, as speculated, fails, Leclerc could join McLaren, where a seat might open per the source. Lando Norris, soon McLaren's most experienced driver by Grand Prix starts, is Zak Brown's favorite, but Oscar Piastri, the odds-on favorite for 2025's title, has Mark Webber pushing his growth per the source. If Piastri wins and leaves, maybe for Ferrari, as the source hints, Leclerc could slide in. The source notes Piastri's links to Ferrari and Red Bull, complicating McLaren's dynamics. Aston Martin's a hot option too. The source says Fernando Alonso wants his 33rd win, or podiums like his 8 or 9 in 2023's Aston Martin, boosted by Adrian Newey and Red Bull strategist Nick Roberts. If Alonso retires after a strong 2026, Leclerc could take his seat, given Aston's efficiency versus Ferrari's bureaucracy. Hamilton's future is on the line. The source says he joined for a 2026 to 2027 title shot, but a weak car could see him exit, saying, "It's been a pleasure." The source suggests Ferrari might target Piastri or Carlos Sainz if both drivers leave. Red Bull's Yuki Tsunoda is set to defend Max Verstappen, per the source, like in Baku where he held up Norris, helping Max's title bid. In Singapore, the source says Tsunoda could send a dive bomb on Piastri or Norris to disrupt McLaren. The source notes Verstappen's Capri talks with Wolff, hinting at a Mercedes or Aston move, which could block Leclerc. The Singapore Grand Prix is pivotal. Leclerc's pace, Ferrari's upgrades, and Hamilton's mindset. Post-Roscoe will set the tone. The source shares Hamilton's grief. "I had to make the hardest decision of my life and say goodbye to Ross. He never stopped fighting." Roscoe, a 13-year-old English bulldog, was a paddock icon, with a 60,000-like tweet in hours, a Silverstone camera run, a Mercedes headset photo, and a Fortnite cameo per the source. Tributes from McLaren, George Russell, Esteban Ocon, James Vowles, and trainer Kirsten McMillan, who was very close to Roscoe, show his impact. The source mentions Hamilton's prior loss of Coco 5 years ago, deepening his pain. This grief, felt between Baku and Singapore, could affect Hamilton's racing, fueling Ferrari's crisis. The source leaves us with a mountain of questions that'll keep us hooked. Can Ferrari end their 2008 title drought in 2026, or will the SF25's failure repeat? The source says the chassis and suspension are set in stone, but can Vasseur tame the bureaucracy? Will Leclerc stay loyal, or are his meetings with McLaren, Mercedes, and Aston, detailed in the source, a sign he's done? Could Piastri join Ferrari if Leclerc leaves, as the source hints, or might Sainz return after his 2023 Singapore win? What about Hamilton? The source notes his grief over Roscoe, whose tweet hit 60,000 likes in hours. Will Lewis channel that pain into a Singapore podium, or will Ferrari's struggles break him? Could Verstappen's Capri talks with Mercedes or Aston, per the source, flip the grid? Will Tsunoda's defensive moves like Baku's hold-up or a Singapore dive bomb swing the 2025 title? The source mentions Aston's simulator not correlating with reality. Could that derail their 2026 car, affecting Alonso's retirement or Leclerc's options? Is Shell's fuel Ferrari's weak link, as the source speculates? Could Ferrari's backup be Piastri, Sainz, or Dark Horse? What about McLaren's Norris-Piastri dynamic? Will tensions, noted in the source, spark a split? Singapore's this weekend. Watch Leclerc's pace, Hamilton's focus, Roscoe's absence, and Ferrari's upgrades for clues. Drop your predictions below. Will Leclerc ditch Ferrari? Can Hamilton race through the grief? What's your favorite Roscoe moment? His Silverstone camera run, Mercedes headset, Fortnite skin, or that 60,000-like tweet? Share your thoughts on Tsunoda's next move or Alonso's retirement plans. Smash the like button, subscribe, and let's keep this F1 drama roaring.